Well, thank you guys. I'm going to try to actually go through this presentation really quickly so we can get to a dialogue and talk back and forth. But I wanted to sort of set the groundwork in terms of how do we actually implement strategy, but also take in consideration culture. So let me look at the first slide. Oh, okay. I want you guys to think about, and anybody that's seen me present regarding strategy, they've seen this analogy that I use regarding an orchestra. Imagine 5 years ago, I came on board to start the strategic planning performance management division for Palm Beach County. And it was an awesome task because we have 35 departments. Each of those departments have somewhere between 3 to 5 to 6 divisions within those departments. We have 4 assistant county administrators. We have an county administrator. We have 7 commissioners. We have 1.5 million residents, and we have about 7,000 employees. So I ask you, one of the things that you want to think about in terms of strategy, how do you get everybody playing in the same orchestra to the same set of sheet music, the vision, the mission? How do you get everybody on board? Because a lot of times you can actually pay a consultant to come in and put together a strategic plan, tie it up, wrap it in a bow, and put it right on the shelf. How do you actually implement a strategy and make it sustainable and part of your culture? Think about an orchestra. See, the conductor is our county administrator. Now that county administrator needs to figure a way to get the violins, the cellos, the flutes, the clarinets, all working so that they're harmonious. So think of public safety, community service, youth services, risk management, environmental, Department of Housing. We have 35 different departments and they all operate well, but how do you get them to play in one orchestra? How do you go from this at work? Because people often wonder, when I did management consulting back for private industry, we were typically brought in to look at process and systems. Rarely were we actually brought in to look at the organization and the people. Try implementing a strategy, Lean Six Sigma, continuous process improvement, teams, if you have disgruntled or disengaged people. So one of the challenges I had was, how do we get people who have been in positions for a long time within the county? As I walked around, I was like, wait a minute, you've been here 15, 20 legacy folks. And there are some people who look just like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Sweat Hog. Now I'm dating myself because this was a movie, this was a TV show called Welcome Back, Kotter. But we actually had some employees that looked like that. So how do we actually change the environment while we're also thinking about strategy? How do we get everybody to feel like they are a superhero, that they're engaged, that they're part of the strategy, they're part of the vision, they're part of the mission? See, sometimes we think those are soft skills and in terms of worrying about people and empathy and value and making sure that they feel like they're part. But you know what? Simon Sinek said, no, they're not soft skills. There's nothing soft about them. They're human skills. So part of strategy is making sure the organization is ready, organizational readiness. So I went on and said, look, you know what? We got to make sure that everybody feels like they're part of the vision, mission, goals, and objectives of the strategy. So how do we do that? First thing we had to do, when I came on board 5 years ago, I looked, I said, well, what is the mission and the vision of Palm Beach County? And actually, hardly anyone could actually find it for me. Finally, I found something that the vision was like maybe a page long. The mission was at least a half a page, and is on one of the websites. And no one knew what they were. So we had to re-engineer. Every strategy has a set of components, the same set of components: a vision, mission, goals, and objectives, and how are you going to measure that performance? So we re-engineered the mission and the vision. So some of you have asked a question, where do you start? You start with making sure that you have a mission that is succinct enough you can put on the back of your business card or the back of your employee card, and everybody can buy into it. We want to know who we are, What do we want to become? How do we want to achieve it? And how do we gauge or manage our performance? How do we know that we're being successful? We ask 3 questions. Where are we now? You have to do an assessment. You really have to understand, and I'm going to talk about the SWOT analysis really quickly. You have to do an assessment to figure out where you currently are in terms of strategy. Where is the company? Where is the department? Where is the city? Where is the county going? How do we want to get there? Where do you want to go? And how do we want to get there? So this is our strategy. After all of that, see, all strategy has the same set of components, as I mentioned: the vision, mission, core values, objectives, and what we call our strategic priorities. Most of you have been involved, and you probably have seen a really, really nice color, multi-page strategic plan. Consultants come in, they charge about $100,000, $200,000 to do a strategic plan for you. And where does it go? Where does it usually go? On the shelf. This right here is our strategy at a glance, what I call strategy at a glance. I wanted to make sure that there was something that everybody could, every publication could, we put out would have it. You could post it in your office or in your cubicle, and you can remember it. Here's our vision. Our mission is to drive a continuous improvement culture of excellence that yields, achieves immeasurably, we can measure it, high level of public satisfaction. That's who we're doing it for, our residents and our public. Our strategic priorities, our core values. Now, this is our strategy at a glance. This is our strategy. The key to the strategy is devil in the details, is the how do you implement it and how do you make it sustainable? Because everybody can have a strategy. I mean, I've seen some of our departments, they got great strategies, but are the people engaged in implementing it? So this is another version of our strategy, our vision, our mission. This ties in our Board of County Commissioners. At the time, this was the set of 7 Board of County Commissioners who I presented this whole thing to, this new strategy at a glance, and they signed off on it. You got it. You have to get top leadership. Everybody has to be on board. So at the workshop in 2018, this is what I presented. Our new vision, re-engineered, our new mission, our new values, core values, and strategic priorities. But there was a major problem. There was a major problem in the assessment, in the organizational readiness. See, these are the 6 strategic priorities. But how do you get 35 different departments all bought into and operating to the 6 strategic priorities? I did a SWOT analysis. Now, I'm going to talk a little simplistically in terms of a SWOT analysis. You can get really, really detailed about it. But you know what? I went and met with all 35 departments. And I asked them, I asked the leadership of the 35 different departments in Palm Beach County, what are the strengths of the county? What are the weaknesses of the county? What are the opportunities and what are the threats? You want to know the number one. Now, you know, I put together a document that showed all the strengths, all the weaknesses, all the opportunities, all the threats. But I look for themes and patterns. The number one weakness, unsolicited, that all of the departments said is we operate in silos. Think about that. We operate in silos. So we had 35 departments, we have 70,000 employees, but we operate in silos. What does that mean? That means community service, they're excellent in community service in their silo. Public safety, their silo. Department of Housing and Economic Development, their silo. Park and Recreation, their silo. Youth Services, their silo. And there was some organic environmental management, environmental resource management. There was some cross-pollination, some working together, but it wasn't systemic, it wasn't part of the culture. So I'm like, how are we going to implement a strategy when everybody's working independently and sort of in some ways silently competing for resources, for money and resources? We operated in silos. Our number one SWOT analysis finding and weakness of silos. How do we fix that? See, that's the problem we have with a lot of strategies that don't work. They don't take the time to actually figure out, okay, what are the barriers to making it successful? If I would have ignored the fact that we operate in silos, we would not have been successful in implementing this strategy. So what do? We said, you know what? We need convergence. We need to move from silos to all these all these departments working together. How do we do that? Now we have a way of implementing the strategy, but also tying everyone into the strategy. So we said, let's annihilate the silos and drive convergence by creating cross-departmental teams. So again, we have 6 strategic priorities. And I said to the 35 departments, if you spend time, money, or resources on any of these 6 strategic priorities, I need someone from your department on a cross-department team. So let me show you what that looks like. These are the teams: cross-department economic development team, housing and homelessness cross-department team, infrastructure cross-department team. Look how we're engaging the employees. These are all levels of employees, subject matter experts in these strategic priorities. Environmental protection cross-department team, public safety cross-department team. These all represent people from different departments that never worked together before. Substance use and behavior disorder cross-department team. So look at this. This is how we actually map them. If you look at the left y-axis, those are all the departments. You look across the x-axis, those are the 6 cross-department teams. That's the check marks show you which departments are which teams. 1 mission, 6 teams, 1 mission. Now you have engagement, you have collaboration, you have new ideas, you have innovation, you have people feeling like they're heard. You've enhanced their job because now they're doing their job in their department, their silo, but now they come every 2 weeks to a cross-department team, and you should see the organic ideas that come out of these teams. We've saved time, we've saved money, we've saved resources just from them now starting to talk and work together. So I'm going to end. We've actually gotten to the point where now we got cross-department teams, but within each department, there are multiple divisions, and they were siloed. Give you an example. Public safety has victim services, juvenile services, emergency operations, 911, animal care and control. They're all different divisions within public safety, but they weren't really talking to each other. So we created cross-divisional teams within the departments. So now we have collaboration going. I'm going to end it there because the rest of my presentation, which you have, is all about how we track performance. We came up with, because I tell people, if you want to lose weight, you have to be willing to get on a scale. You have to be able to measure yourself and be willing to look at what needs to be improved. So we worked and created the eKPI system. So we have KPI scorecards for all the departments, and now we're building them cross-department. We're building cross-department teams, metrics and scorecards as well.